If you missed it last week, there was an interview by David Zaslav. If you don't know that guy, he is the Warner Brothers CEO. And he talked about all sorts of stuff. I mean, it was part of an earnings call where he was answering questions and said this stuff. So he was talking about the whole business, more broadly. But one of the things he was asked about was their gaming segment. And what he said was pretty shocking, especially in light of recent developments. And we'll go through this real quick. He said that they plan to transform the biggest gaming franchises from traditional console and PC releases into always-on live service games. What he said specifically was, quote, "Our focus is on transforming our biggest franchises from largely console and PC-based with 3 to 4 year release schedules to include more always-on gameplay through live services, multi-platform, and free-to-play extensions, with the goal to have more players spending more time on more platforms. Ultimately, we want to drive engagement and monetization of longer cycles and at higher levels. We are currently under scale and see significant opportunity to generate greater post-purchase revenue." Now, why is this surprising? Well, as you can see, they have footage pulled up of Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is like the prime example of why this just doesn't make sense. This has been overwhelmingly negatively received. As they've shown more of Suicide Squad, less people have gotten excited. Normally, you would hope that as you show more of something you are planning to release, people get more excited. Imagine that, right? As you see more of Spider-Man 2 approaching launch, you get more excited. As you see more of Starfield closer to launch, you get more excited. Suicide Squad, it's the complete opposite. The more people see of this game, like statistically, empirically, we can demonstrate it, the less interested they have become. And it's because they've continued to show more and more of the live service elements. Like already the gameplay wasn't that interesting. The graphics, I don't think were that impressive compared to what they did in Arkham Knight. It seems like a big step backwards, or at best treading water. All in favor of pushing 60 frames, which doesn't really make sense because on last gen consoles, they were able to get like Arkham Knight looking way better than this at 30 frames. So most last gen games can run at 60 in this generation. So what is the problem? Like, it's all because of the co-op stuff. That's basically what it comes down to. But the more people have seen of this, the more turned off they get. And so you'd think the takeaway would be, okay, maybe this isn't what gamers want, especially because guess what? Warner Brothers had another very successful game recently, a little game called Hogwarts Legacy, which people loved. And guess what it didn't have? It didn't have multiplayer co-op. It didn't have live service crap. And that game just in the first few months generated over $1 billion in revenue. Just ridiculous profit. I mean, it's ridiculous how much money that game has made. And by the end of the year, it launches on Switch tomorrow, actually. It probably is just going to be printing even more money. So I think that it's really surprising to see that the CEO of Warner Brothers is now saying, oh, well, actually, we want to do more of the thing everybody hates and less of the thing that everybody just demonstrated they love. So in my view, there's two possibilities. For one, he is actually that disconnected and does think that he can turn like Hogwarts Legacy 2 into a live service game and it'll make the same level of money. It'll be just as successful. Maybe he is that dense to think that he actually could do that. The other possibility is something we've seen a lot of other CEOs do before, which is telling investors what they want to hear, not necessarily what is completely the truth based on what's going on behind closed doors. In which case, he could be just telling the investors, yeah, we're going to maximize profits and expand revenues by more live service games and blah, 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 and going into all of that, thinking of Suicide Squad like, oh, it's going to be successful even though people are hating on it. But with Hogwarts Legacy, for example, he's like, no, we're going to let them keep doing what they're doing. That's going to be one of the exceptions to the rule, but the rule is going to be this. So what specifically this means for like Hogwarts Legacy, the sequel, who knows? I think Suicide Squad is what it is. I don't think it's changing at all. I think it is what it is. It's going to be a live service mess and it's probably going to be hated on pretty hardcore. I would guess it's probably pretty polished. except on PC. They don't have a great track record with that with Rocksteady. But I guess it's a pretty polished game. It runs well. I just think it's going to be, it could be this coming year's Redfall, except polished, where it's just creatively bankrupt and it's just a live service game built to be a live service game, and everybody's just mentally checked out of it. And they're like, yeah, it's flashy and can be pretty at times, but I just don't see where the fun is. And that's the biggest problem for me personally with Suicide Squad, is I just don't see where the fun is. Like, I watch the gameplay and I don't think, oh, that looks awesome. Like, if I go back to God of War Ragnarok's trailer, I remember seeing that trailer and just being like, oh my God, like, I want to see more of that. Like, I remember seeing these trailers and it looked like something I wanted to play. Like, okay, yeah, no, get me there. Especially as it goes on, the big expansive areas, beautiful to explore, interesting things and mysteries to find. Dude, now I want to replay this. Like, you see this, you look over, I'm like, yeah, I want to go explore all of that. That looks amazing. I want to do that. Suicide Squad, no part of that happens in my brain. My brain just does not make the connection. It's like, no, looks stupid. And that, again, that's a problem. That's not something you can just fix magically. I don't know what it is about Suicide Squad as a franchise, but it just seems like every time that somebody tries to make a game or a film about it, there's a tonal problem tied up in the marketing. It's like marketing companies don't know how to sell it. The best way to sell it, I think, is to make it like embrace the absurdity and the goofiness and stuff. It just seems like they're scared to do it. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know. It's a good question what they mean by that, what that's going to look like as time goes by. But honestly, at this point, I don't know, man. I don't know. If he honestly thinks that that's the best way to play it, if he honestly thinks that that live service is the way to go after the success of Hogwarts Legacy, I don't like what can you even say? Like, what can you even say?